We have a problem.
Penetrating the United States.
I thought it was safe.
Your future has arrived.
So what are we going to talk about since Sleepy Joe fell asleep?
Let's go to the topic of YouTube, like the YouTube reliable information you said you wanted to talk about. I'll let you go first because there's a lot. Like, I'm on YouTube all the time, hours and hours a day. So I'll let you go first.
Well, so I'm never on YouTube unless there is like a video clip with some music that I want to watch, because I find YouTube totally useless for news and information, because it's unchecked information. Anybody, you, me, anybody can go onto YouTube and just put up a video and say whatever they want. And then, you know, if you're lucky, people will pick that up. And in some cases, people will believe what you say. And most people don't know what they're talking about on YouTube.
Yes.
So that's why I don't use YouTube. I like to get news from sources where I know that the news is being filtered by professional journalists that have learned how to do that, how to interpret the news and how to check whether facts are facts. And even if I myself find something, sometimes I do find something online, or you will send me something in YouTube or whatever. Always go online and research what you send me, and I will want at least 2 sources to confirm what you send me before I believe it's actual fact. Otherwise, I will dismiss it. Just Joe Blow saying something in a YouTube video is meaningless to me. So that's how I look at YouTube. Now, how about you?
So I'm on YouTube all the time, 24/7, 365. And to me, YouTube, like, there's all kinds of things that you can go to. You can go to CNN on there. I'm sure they do live streams and stuff. There's Fox News and CBS on there. But with the fact check thing, like, there's a lot of people on YouTube that, like, just run their mouth for no reason, just like myself. And
Just like you and I right now.
yeah, just like me and you. And there's a lot of, like, stuff on YouTube where people are like lying and saying this stuff, because, like, nowadays it's like if you say something wrong, you'll get canceled and people will get mad at you. But in the state of, like, evidence and proof, you can go to any source. You don't have to use YouTube. I'm sure you can go to YouTube and look stuff up, because, I mean, there's billions of videos, maybe even trillions on YouTube. So, I mean, you can find a lot on YouTube. So I think if you fact check it, then yes, YouTube is a good, reliable source.
So how do you so you go to YouTube, and I'm sure you have certain, you know, I know that you have certain
Oh,
YouTubers
yes,
that you
yes.
like. Not just for news, right? I mean, also for like gaming and all of that. So you use YouTube for a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, I use YouTube for, like, like how-to videos, and sometimes, like, if I'm just bored, I'll just go onto YouTube, and that's, like, really, like, all I watch now. I don't really watch Netflix, but yeah, I like watching YouTube. It's quite nice.
So do you follow YouTube's suggestions for videos to watch? Because you know that they have algorithms that will suggest you what you should watch based on what you've been watching before, right?
Yes. With that, it's very, very accurate. Now sometimes here and there, there will be something like cleaning an axe that was made 100 some odd years ago, and I'm like, I've never seen this. And then I click on it, and it's like, oh, he's watching this. Let's make this. So, the whole algorithm part, they should make it more detailed. Because they make it to where if you watch, like, one video on this, it's just, like, from there straight on. Because, like, when you start a Google account and you go onto YouTube, because that's, like, a big Google source, and you click on a video, and it's like, let's say, a gaming video, your whole suggestions are just going to be gaming. Now, off and on, when you get to know YouTube and do all this, it becomes different. But yeah, I just feel like their algorithms should be a bit more smarter. So I mean, that's what I think. And there's a lot of because of the demonetization, which is like YouTubers can't get money and stuff like that. Um, and it's not like it is because there's other sites like YouTube TV, YouTube Music, YouTube Kids that you can go on, and if you're like underage and you're watching YouTube, you should be on YouTube Kids. And I feel like the algorithm isn't all too correct, but that's just my opinion.
So how do you not see things that you as a 13-year-old shouldn't be seeing? Because there's a lot of stuff on YouTube that you probably shouldn't be seeing, right? So how does that work?
Wrong. It's not like graphic or anything. Like there's a whole set of guidelines, and like even if you like show a paintball gun or something like that, YouTube will be like, "Oh, this is something." So it's not all graphic. I mean, like it's not like 10 times as bad as going out and like on Instagram or something like that. Um, because I've heard Instagram is graphic, even though when I was younger and I used Instagram, I only went so small, like I was just following the people who I followed. And there's also like restricted mode to where like it's much to where like you can't hear like cuss words and stuff like that.
Okay.
But that's not like I'm not too like afraid of because I only watch like one or two YouTubers, like, and that's it. So I mean,
For gaming or for news? What are you talking
for
about?
gaming,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I watch other YouTubers as well, but just mainly a couple of YouTubers that I watch, maybe a few.
So if you want to know, if you wake up in the morning and you want to know what happened in the world, what do you do?
You can do whatever you want, honestly. I mean, you can go to whatever news source you like.
Well, but what do you do? What is your habit of finding out what's going on? Like now we have the elections and all of that. What is your habit
Mhm.
of finding out what's going on?
Instantly, I go to like a news source, like let's say CBS or Fox News. Me personally, I use Fox News, but and you know that. Um, with it's if it's like politicians, then I'll go to Fox News. If it's something else, like let's say a new video game is coming out, then I'll go to YouTube and look up a YouTube channel called IGN, which is a bunch of gaming stuff. So there's a lot of like channels and people on YouTube that are that'll do like just one thing. Like let's say you believe in, let's say, I don't know, like just take a random belief, like let's say Christianity, let's say that. There's Christianic, is that a word? YouTubers that'll just like tell you about God and stuff like that.
Christian
Um,
YouTubers, okay.
Christian YouTubers. But now if you say Christian YouTubers, those are like YouTubers that don't swear and stuff like that. But I don't really. I stick to a couple YouTubers and they're fine. They're not
Okay.
awful.
So you do that for religious information also? You go to YouTube? Not I mean because you cannot go to church right now, right? That is also an issue.
I've been going to church actually. For the past 2 weeks, I've been going to church. Now, if it's like religious, I go to the Bible app. Because I mean, you can get it. You can get it on your phone and all kinds of stuff. Um, but yeah, if I wanted to look at like something religious or I have a question, then I'll like either look it up on Google and it'll give it to me instantly, or just go to the Bible app and it'll tell me like what it is and stuff like that. And
So
for
so
gaming, you can do stuff like that too.
if you want to know if there's fraud in the election, how do you go about answering that question?
Like me personally, what I think, or
No, what you do to find out. You hear about it, and now you want to find out what the deal is. So what do you do?
um, well, to me, I go to Google, of course, and I search up election fraud. And there will be, and there's even YouTubers that'll even have evidence, not just YouTubers that I like. There's like other YouTubers that'll be like, this happened and this happened and this happened. Like you can go to CNN or something like that. But some like CNN, like they're a big like Democratic, and Fox News is big on like Republican. So if I'm looking for something like not on either side, I'll just go to YouTube and see what they think. And New York Times will say things and stuff like that. So it's honestly just Google.
Okay. I mean, well, that's pretty good actually. So you're going to different sources: CBS, Fox, New York Times, all sorts of things. But then I guess, aside from all of that, do you listen to the radio, for example, or is it all internet?
If I listen to the radio, it'll just be in the car listening to music.
Oh,
And
okay.
even then, I just plug in a cord into my phone and then just play my own music. But I mean, I don't really listen to the radio. I don't keep up with the radio. Unless it's like sports or something like that, like coming home from like a bad Tennessee game, which is a lot, then I'll then I'll like tune in to like ESPN or Tennessee radio or something like that.
So let's do an experiment. I want to do an experiment just because I want to see. I'm going to share my screen, and then I'm going to type in election fraud, and we're gonna see what comes up on my side, on my end, as
On
a
your
result
end.
of the. So the top story here, it shows top stories, right? And then it has an item here from Wikipedia on electoral fraud. And it shows some YouTube videos, CBS News, etc. And then here are some articles from CNN, New York Times, heritage.org, USA Today. So if I were to look into the electoral fraud, I might click on the top stories. I would probably not look at any of these videos, but I would go to the CNN.com. I would go to the heritage.org because I know that that's a conservative group, Heritage Foundation. But what I'm trying to say is, you're on your computer, right?
Currently, yes, I am on my computer.
So if you go into your if you go to Google and you type in election fraud, I'm curious to know if you're gonna see the same thing I'm seeing.
Yes, the exact same thing.
You're seeing the exact same thing? Oh, okay.
Except yours doesn't show Actually, no, yours does show Wikipedia. So it's pretty much the same thing.
Well, I know
but
it's
I don't
pretty much
really.
the same, but I'm curious where the differences are. We cannot.
There's really not a difference. I mean, yours gives you a general term of election fraud, mine doesn't. But I mean, there's a Wikipedia thing right here.
What do you mean, a general term?
Like right here, where it says election fraud sometimes referred to as election fraud, election,
Oh,
or vote rigging. Yeah, right there. I don't have that,
oh.
but I think that's just because you're using something different. So let's say
I'm using Google Chrome. What are you using for?
Oh yeah, I'm also using Google Chrome.
Oh, okay. I don't know why that is then. It's just Wikipedia. So but like the first article in your list below the videos, is that same CNN article that I'm showing here?
I believe so. Top Republicans defend Trump on baseless voter fraud claims.
And the New York Times is the second, and the Heritage is the third. Oh, okay. So you have the same
Yeah,
result.
so Google is very, very, very accurate. Like you can't find anything else that is as accurate as Google.
Well, there's people that dispute that, right? There's people that are saying that Google steers the results and that there's certain things that Google doesn't show because it doesn't fit their liberal agenda, because there's people that blame Google for being a liberal company.
It really isn't. I mean, me and you both have different political party beliefs.
Well,
Um,
plus we Google different things, and Google keeps that all in its algorithm, right? Just like YouTube does and Facebook and all of that.
Now,
And
Google, not as much, unless you're on the Google app, which it'll give you stories of whatever you're looking at. Like mine gives me politics and 21 Pilots and Stranger Things and stuff like that.
now
So,
Google remembers. Google was the first one to store everything that anybody does. So Google knows
actually, that's
everything.
Yahoo. Actually, it's Yahoo. It
Google knows everything that I've ever looked up, and will use that
mm-hmm,
information to steer
mm-hmm.
some of the search results. But you're right. It looks like the search results are pretty fair and balanced.
Yeah,
That's
it's
good.
pretty accurate.
That's good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting to me that. So I'm old, right? So I when
Oh,
I
you're
want
not
to
old. You're
when
not
I want to
old.
know about the news, I first turn on CNN in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what the morning news is, which, within 15 minutes, you know what you need to know pretty much, because then it repeats itself.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Sometimes I will switch to Fox, not in the morning, but like in the middle of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like Fox in the morning, and I don't like Fox at night, because there's just people that are running their mouth, just like on CNN. I don't watch that either
That is true. I can
at
agree with
night.
that.
During the
I
day,
can
it's
agree with
okay.
that.
And then I will watch Fox News every now and again, and I read the New York Times,
Mm-hmm.
liberal newspaper,
Mm-hmm.
and I watch BBC online,
Mm-hmm.
not TV, but just the website, the
Yeah,
articles.
yeah, yeah. So
And
like
then
articles,
at
yeah.
night, I oftentimes watch news from the Netherlands that I can stream on TV. So it's just like I'm watching Dutch TV, except I'm here in New York. So that gives me a pretty good, amount of news. For example, when I watch the Dutch news, Donald Trump may be mentioned once for 2 seconds, and all the other news is about the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in this country, and if you turn on the news, all you hear about is Donald
Is the
Trump, and
election?
you don't hear anything else about
Yeah,
Azerbaijan or the situation in the Middle East or Africa, or you
yeah,
don't hear.
yeah. Even in Canada, they're saying like, yeah, everything is about American election. I'm like, wow. Then you almost not know how chaotic it is.
It's really not chaotic, but
Yeah.
the TV stations make it chaotic because they
Mm-hmm.
want to keep you watching, so you will see their ads.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's a whole other topic of discussion.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so then so since we're both kind of doing the same thing with our news, it's interesting
Yes.
why you believe there is a large amount of voter fraud going on, and
Yes.
I don't
Yes. I do.
believe that.
But what? So are you asking me what I think about that?
Why do
Or
you believe that there's voter fraud?
uh currently, because if you look at the news, and yesterday what happened was Donald Trump was leading a bunch of states, and to this day Biden is winning all of those states except for one, and that's North Carolina. And he might get that in a few days. I don't know.
Why,
Um,
why, why is that happening, do you think?
it's because in the beginning, when the Republicans were winning, not by a lot, but they were winning. They were like, "Oh, we're gonna win," and stuff like that. Um, and then all of a sudden, what I think is that Democrats, well, not just Democrats. I mean, I'm sure there's other political parties. Um, they were like, okay, we need to go and vote more and more and more. And there's even proof. Like you can go and see like all the voting proof. Like there will be people that'll name themselves from a dead person. And by that, like they're not like they need ID and fake IDs, and you don't, and I don't know that someone's used my name to vote. I don't know at all. I don't know that someone's done that. I mean, someone could have used your name. Some of you could use my dad's name.
Well,
Um,
they need your signature and my signature too, right? It's not just a name. You need the
mhm.
signature.
With signature, you can copy it as you can plagiarize it so much, like, and get it so correct. and you can change it at any time, and no one would know. It's almost like a password.
And
Like
this is happening in so many cases that it actually swings the election. Is that what you're saying? There's millions of people that are doing this. Is that what you're saying?
I believe so, yes. Because it's all of a sudden. Because it wasn't happening two nights ago. Because I was like, oh, we're gonna find out by tomorrow the results. And now we're having to wait. Some say until the 15th.
So, what? How do you explain Ohio, where on Tuesday, on Tuesday night, Biden was ahead, and then all of a sudden on Wednesday morning, Trump was ahead, and now Trump has won Ohio.
Now, it actually wasn't the morning. It was like near the end of the night.
Or in the night.
So it was near the morning.
Okay.
But you can even see like it was really close. It was getting close. I remember watching it, like looking at more news sources like CNN and Fox News, see what they're saying. They're saying that it's gonna get close.
But is
And
that it? But why do they? Why did this not happen in Ohio? Did the Democrats forget to commit fraud in Ohio or something?
well, no, because it was legit. Like it was right after, right before Trump was like leading, you could say, or like getting close. So that's what I think, because I remember watching it with a friend of mine, and he was like, "Yeah, Ohio's getting close." And actually, through the night, we were like, "Oh, Ohio got red." It was swinging towards red. So it was still really close. Like there were still people voting for Biden and Trump, but also the independent, also other parties like the Green Party and stuff like that. So it's
So here's what I think is going on. So leading up to the election, particularly Trump with tweets and on TV and all of that, was basically putting some fear in people to vote on election day. And people were getting afraid that maybe there's things happening, or maybe there's too many people voting, and I get sick from COVID. Had nothing to do with Trump, but getting sick from COVID. So let me vote by mail. So people were requesting a ballot to vote by mail, and
oh my goodness, this is
more
getting annoying.
more Democrats did that than Republicans. Because more Republicans more Republicans voted on election day itself because Trump was calling on his supporters to vote on election day itself. So the result was that more votes that were part of the mailing votes were for Joe Biden than they were for Trump. And on November 3rd, election day, more votes were for Trump and less for Biden because they were people that had done what Trump had asked them to do, which is vote on election day. Most states, when they start counting the votes, most states start to count the votes that were cast on election day. And only when they're done with that, do they go back and start counting the votes that came in from the mail-in votes. And that's why you saw at the end of Tuesday night, you saw that a lot of states were actually in favor of Trump, basically, including like Pennsylvania, and there were others. And then as the next day progressed and they started to vote, started to count the mail-in votes, all of a sudden the majority of those votes were for Joe Biden. And so you saw that the amount of votes for Joe Biden started to increase faster than the votes for Trump. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So that's why I think that the votes for Biden started to grow on Wednesday and Thursday, and the proof that I have for that, or the case I have to make my point, is what happened in Ohio. Because in Ohio, they actually voted the mail-in votes first, and the votes from November 3rd second. So they did it the other way around than most other states. And what happened in Ohio was that Biden was ahead first on Tuesday. And then after that, Trump took over. And in other states, the reverse happened because they counted the mail-in votes later. And the only reason that it shifted like that is because most Democrats voted early, either in person like Nana and I did, right? We voted like 2 weeks ago, just like your dad did, actually, for that matter. He voted early also, right?
He actually let me vote, because he let me vote, but he told me like who to vote for and stuff like that. So
Oh yeah,
technically I
you filled
voted.
in with the Sharpie?
Well, no, it wasn't with a Sharpie or anything. It was with a computer. They gave you like this little like wood thing because of COVID. So you had to like tap it and yeah.
Oh, you had to tap on the screen?
Yes, you have to tap on the screen. It's like touch screen.
Oh wow.
And it's really slow. It's like 5 seconds and then it'll like process. And it'll be like, are you sure you want to vote for such and such? And at the end it'll give you like a huge summary of who you want to vote for.
That's actually more advanced than in New York, because in New York it was on paper. So I had a paper ballot. I took a picture of it too, which is actually not allowed because you're not allowed to take pictures inside the polling place, but I did anyway. So I broke the law, Ray. Sorry.
It's fine. In Tennessee you can't do that either.
I actually
But
did not-
apparently you can call people, but you can't like take photos or talk to anyone. I don't know why that is.
I actually did not know that when I did that. I found it out later that I wasn't supposed to take that picture. So I took a picture right before I went into the polling place. And then I took a picture of my ballot. That's my ballot.
Like me doing this.
Vertically it has the parties. So we had in New York, we had the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, the Independent Party, it's called the Working Families Party, and then one or two more that I don't remember. And then across is the different things that you vote for. So it was for the president, it was for the state senate. What else did we vote for? Oh, the state Supreme Court. And we even voted for the county court judge and the county coroner. The coroner. Why would you want to vote for the coroner? I don't know.
Yeah.
Very weird.
Yeah. Here I think we voted for president and or vice president, and I believe Senate and House of Representative or Representative.
Same here.
So I want to say it was president, representative, Senate, and I want to say governor, but I'm not sure if I'm completely correct on that one.
So, and then you take your paper ballot to a machine, like a scanner, and then it scans your ballot, and that's it. Only if you ask, will they show you on the screen to show you that the scanner actually read your ballot properly, and hardly anybody does that. I did. I wanted to know that the scanner did what I had filled out, and they had to pull out the manual to look that up, how that had to be done, because they didn't know, because nobody asks.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's but that's probably also why, because we talked about this yesterday. That's probably also why you still see a lot of paper counting, right? Because my ballot is on paper. So if they have to check anything or recount anything, I think they're gonna count my paper ballot, and not what was scanned in the computer.
And there's also there's probably computers where if you vote for and you tap like a thing, and I'm sure this has happened before, and like if you tap it, it'll just like it'll say that you voted, but it doesn't let the ballot count. Now there's other things too, like my paper ballot and the scanner thing. There's so many things that could happen. With the Sharpie, it could bleed through and say you voted for not even Donald Trump or Biden, like Kanye West. It could have said you voted for Kanye.
So bleed through means that it is visible on the other side of the paper, right?
Bleed through is when a Sharpie, like you're using two pieces of paper and like you smear the Sharpie within the paper, and so that's kind of so
this was a court case that has been brought in Arizona. I know what you're talking about. They've also dubbed it Sharpie Gate on the internet, but it's baseless. It's still in court, but it's baseless. I listened to the Secretary of State from the state of Arizona, You know, if you have a Sharpie bleeding through, it means that it bleeds through to the other side of the piece of paper, except there was nothing there on the other side of the piece. There was nothing on the back side of the ballot. It was all just like with me, what I just showed you. We had the same problem. Oh, I already closed the picture. I still have it. So the ballot piece of paper, you can actually see, I'll make it bigger. You can see my black dots from the Sharpie, right? So if you turned the paper around, you actually saw the black dots on the back of the ballot. It had bled through to the back. Except it didn't matter because there was nothing on the back, because the full ballot, every choice that you could make is on the front. There's nothing on the back. So it doesn't matter that it bleeds through to the back. So it's a hoax. It's nonsense. They'll prove that in court. But that's what I believe right at the moment.
But tens of thousands of votes, like, and they've even seen it, and there's evidence where people are burning ballots of Trump or maybe even Biden. But this is why, like in Pennsylvania, it was becoming such a big problem because they wouldn't let people see within 100 feet. Now, you can do all kinds of things within 100 feet. I mean,
Wait,
they
hold
can
on,
be covering
back up. So who was burning ballots where?
in Arizona, because someone found a bunch of ballots and they were like burned or something. So that could be it could be a lie. It could be anything else. They could have said it was for Biden or Trump or anyone. It could be for anyone.
Let's see, I'm looking it up. 80. A video shows 80 ballots, 80, not 10,000. 80 ballots were burned. A video online is showing that.
Let me see if I can find what I found.
So what I often do is go to Snopes.com. Do you know Snopes?
No. Oh, yeah, I see it now.
Let me share my screen. This was something that Eric Trump put on his Twitter, right?
Yeah. I saw it. I went to Twitter actually and saw it.
He put a video on that shows 80 Trump ballots being burned. So Snopes says that the video does not show authentic ballots that were cast for Trump being burned. The ballots shown feature candidates from Virginia Beach, Virginia. So if you zoom in and you look at the details, it turns out that it is Virginia Beach, Virginia. And they have debunked the video, saying that the ballots being burned were not official ballots that had been cast for either candidate. Rather, it shows sample ballots.
Okay.
So,
with that, that sounds completely suspicious. Because why would you burn them? You can throw them away. You can do all kinds of things, but why would you burn them? If you're burning them, you make it to where they don't want to see anything. Because if
but
they
it's sample ballots, so why does it matter? They're not official ballots. They were sample ballots. Just here's a sample of a ballot, and I'm gonna burn it because I like fire. I have a match. Let's have some fun.
Why would someone that isn't a pyro, why would he physically burn a sample ballot?
I don't know. Why would anybody fire an AR-15 in a school class? I don't know that either. But I mean, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it doesn't affect the votes. It doesn't affect democracy. It doesn't affect Trump's vote count or Biden's vote count. So it doesn't matter. It's a non-issue. It's noise to create this atmosphere of, you should not trust the system. And that is what I find the most amazing thing. And I've mentioned that to you a few times, right? Outside of this podcast also.
Yes.
That people that call themselves patriots and Americans, that they at the same time mistrust their own country's democratic system. I don't understand that, how that is possible. Either you are a patriot and an American and you scanned USA, and then you believe in your country and in the people in your country and in the system, or you don't, and then you burn a flag. But you cannot do both. That doesn't work, does it? That's what I
And
don't understand.
yes, but to say you're a patriot, you have to show it. You have to show like that you love your own country and like saying the Pledge of Allegiance, and having a flag and buying a flag and participating in like 4th of July and stuff like that. But yeah, when they say like they don't agree with it, then they don't agree with it. That's just common knowledge from it. Like you can say you're a patriot, you can say you're fine when you're really crazy. You can say all kinds
I
of
do
things.
I do that every day.
Yeah, same. Yeah, so I just think that you can say anything. I mean, even with the ballots, like they could have been like, "Oh, those were sample ballots." But why would someone what like they could put it in a shredder or something like that? They can afford shredders. I
Right.
mean,
Well,
they're
I mean, that's
so
fine. And
expensive.
I also don't exactly understand why somebody would, burn ballots. Why, I mean, what's the use of that? But my
Yeah.
point is really that what happened when we were talking about it, you actually started talking about it as 10,000s of ballots were burned in Arizona, right? So then we looked it up, and you were saying that because you had heard about Eric Trump's tweet, I suppose.
No, it wasn't about Eric Trump's tweet. It was
Oh,
something I want to say it was a few nights ago on Fox News. They were saying like burn Trump ballots. But they said it could have been tens of thousands. They said it could have been hundreds of thousands.
oh,
But
okay.
they put it as in 10,000.
Well, I mean, my problem is that probably on I don't know for sure, but for sake of argument, I'll say that on Fox they probably did say that it could be 10,000s of ballots, and then somebody else will say, "Oh, it was 10,000s of ballots." No, it could be 10,000 of ballots. Doesn't mean that there were 10,000 of ballots, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And that's the sneaky way that, again, people that are meaning the wrong thing, if you want to bring in the wrong type of information, they will do that way so that other people will repeat what they said in a slightly different way. It always reminds me of this thing, I don't know if you do that here in school, where you go sit around in a circle and you whisper something in the ear of the kid next to you, and then it goes and they have to repeat it to the kid
Oh,
next
yeah.
to them, etc., etc.
Telephone. Telephone. Yeah, it's called telephone.
It's called telephone.
Yeah, we call it telephone because you
And
have to
then when
say
it gets to the
something and
last kid, they have to say out loud what they think
yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
first kid said, and
Telephone.
it's never what it was, right? It's always
Yeah, yeah. Because
right.
no one
So
ever knew what they said.
that's what this sort of thing always reminds me of. But my point is that you're looking at the TV, and you and I looked at a video earlier where you see somebody in a mask in a polling station behaving in a way that seems a little odd. We don't know
Yes.
for a fact what's going on, but it looks odd, right?
Yeah. And you even asked, you were like, "Is this year? Is it in the USA?" And on the little basket, it said the United States
Yeah.
Postal Service, and also he had a mask on.
Yep.
Why would someone have a mask on in 2019 or
Well,
2018 or
they did in
2016?
they did in Asia.
They did
So
in Asia in 2019?
in Asia, they have been wearing masks since SARS in 2009. So they have been wearing masks for 11 years. Yeah.
No.
China,
Well.
Japan, Taiwan, they wear masks.
Oh, wow. I
Uh,
didn't know that actually.
they have been wearing masks for years.
So, back to the topic on the burning ballots.
Okay.
Now, again, with you were saying, why would someone? But oh wait, no, because we were talking about the mask thing and the guy. My question is, why was he raging like that? Now he could have been like, "Oh, these are all Biden votes," or "Oh, these are all Trump votes," or something.
But see, the point is that we don't know. It was a very short clip. It's the same, what comes to mind is the same argument that the police will use when you see a video from somebody getting shot by the police or something. There's oftentimes something else going on than what you actually think from watching a short video. Maybe there was a fly or a wasp or a bee that he was trying to smash. We don't know. So that's my point, that when you watch that without context, you will draw, and then on top of that, it's one guy out of, I don't know how many people are involved in counting ballots, to be honest, around the country, but it must be at least 150,000, I would imagine. Well, maybe not that many, but at least
That's a
25,
lot.
at least 20. We have 50 states. Yeah, probably it is actually that many. 150,000 people are probably involved in counting votes. And they're all volunteers. I could have registered to do it. I didn't do it because I didn't want to because of COVID.
Oh,
Otherwise,
it's
I might have done it.
volunteers?
Yeah, they're volunteers.
Oh, I thought it was like whenever you need to do like jury duty and like you get a letter and stuff.
No. You can
I thought it
register.
was
Well,
like
I don't
that.
know if that's the same in all states, but in New York, you can sign up for it and volunteer to do it. So people volunteer to do it. And so anyway, so this is one guy out of 150,000, and maybe out of those 150,000, maybe there are a few people that want to do something wrong. It's possible. I just don't think that if that happens, and it happens, because if you have 150,000 people, there's going to be some bad hombres, right? But it doesn't mean that it impacts the total election, or the election, even the results of a whole state. It's minimal.
Well, first, I would like to say, who in their right mind would rage over a bee or a fly coming at them? Because I wouldn't.
I would. Well, but just because
why?
just because you would doesn't mean that nobody else would. And
I said I wouldn't, but I wouldn't do that.
If other people do, then there's nothing wrong with that.
Now, sometimes in the summer, dirt daubers come through the ventilation, but I mean, sometimes I think they're a wasp. And
I don't even know what those are. Dirt
daubers. It's like a wasp, but they don't sting you.
Oh.
That's what a dirt dauber is, and they. Well, I don't know why they're called dirt daubers. Something about dirt. Either they live in dirt or something.
We have cicada killers up here. Maybe that's comparable. Who knows?
And murder hornets.
But anyway, no, those are in California.
Yeah.
So anyway, so my point, I guess, again, is that we're seeing some videos of some things that look a little odd. So I will agree with you on that. My point is that then there are certain people that take it to the next level by either saying, oh, there's this problem going on and it's all over the place, or it's all over the country. So they're making it sound like it's something that happens everywhere. Dead people voting is another one of those things, right? So the only dead people that can vote, the only dead people whose vote are counted at the moment are people that voted early, because voting started early, right? Like a month ago. So there's people that voted 3 weeks ago or a month ago, and they died before last Tuesday. That actually happened.
So 100,000 people died?
No,
saying?
There are no 100,000 votes of dead people. That's not there. That's wrong. That is fake information.
Yeah, but when this was said, it was after election night and before.
Right, it was said, but it's not, you can say whatever you want. It's said on Fox, or it's said in your YouTube feed, or it's said by me or whoever, but there's no proof. Show me the proof. Show me the 100,000 votes that were counted, ballots, of people that have died. It's not there. It's people that are making this up.
I'm actually going to do that.
There's 100 or so ballots in Pennsylvania. I think they said it was 100 of people that I don't even know if it's only in Pennsylvania for that matter, that have passed away.
Here's one from a liberal. Hold up, let me.
Well, I don't care if it's a liberal or whoever it is, but it's is he showing me the ballots?
I'm sorry?
Is he showing the ballots?
I don't know. I haven't seen the full thing yet. Hold up. It says, no, I don't want to sign in. No, it's just showing a lady leaning over a door. That's odd. I don't think that'd be. Yeah, yet many people have not heard the truth behind the claims they are sharing, or if they have dismissed it. And that's double. Okay. Social media has created echo chambers where people hear largely from like minded voices, and President Trump's years of attacks on the media have caused many of his supporters to distrust journalists. Now, the tweets began to arrive Wednesday night carrying explosive claims that people in Michigan were voting under the names of dead people. Now there's one. Austin. Sorry, my computer screen's really far away. It's not really far away, but it's far.
You're moving away from your microphone.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, this is a suppressed microphone. Began to, yeah. Austin Fletcher, a former Ivy League football player turned right-wing internet journalist, said in videos posted to Twitter that he had hold on, I need to get closer because I can't see. That he had discovered registration documents on a state of Michigan website that showed that 4 people with reported birth dates from 19,000 to 1902 had been submitted absentee ballots ahead of Tuesday's election. How long has this been going on, he said. So it just said that people have died from 19,000 or 1900 to 19,000. Why did I say 19,000? 1900 to 1902. So it's obviously like this is happening. You can't really say anything else. I mean, if they're lying, they're lying. But I mean, this is liberal. This is a liberal newspaper. It's New York Times saying this.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that it's true. Just because it's a liberal newspaper, that doesn't make it any more true than if it's Fox or whoever it is.
Sorry.
Is this the article that about the how claims of dead Michigan voters spread faster than the facts? Is that what you're looking at?
How claims of dead Michigan voters spread faster than the facts? Yes.
Right.
New York Times.
Okay.
Hey, even Republicans' greatest speaker and shredder, because she's great. By Thursday morning, Mr. Fletcher's videos were the talk of the Republican internet. Why is it taking regular Americans to expose this level of obvious corruption? Said Candace Owens, the best speaker ever. A conservative commenter sharing one of the videos of her 2.7 million Twitter followers. Yet a few phone calls by Mr. Fletcher would have revealed evidence that indicates that what appeared to be fraud were run-of-the-mill clerical errors.
So no fraud, but clerical errors.
Yeah,
Keep reading.
That's not. Well, if you're saying 2002 to 1902, it's not even the same numbers. I mean,
What?
So if you're saying that you were born in 2002 or 2002,
Where does it say that? I'm reading the same article. I don't see 2002. Oh.
no, I'm saying if they said that, and it
Well,
was,
if they said that the Earth was flat, but I memean, it doesn't say that it said that.
the Earth isn't flat.
Right.
You can see the curvature of the Earth from. I went. Hey, me and you went to the One World Trade Center, and we saw you were like, "Hey, you can see the curvature of the Earth."
Yes.
And I'm like, unless the Earth is curvaturely flat, then NASA's not lying to you.
When you travel and you go places, then you actually learn things. Anyway, but so it doesn't talk about 1902 and 2002. There's one example here of a 74-year-old woman.
Yeah, from
where
Hamlin
the system
Township.
had assigned the woman the default birth date of January 1st, 1901, right?
Yeah, so that's very.
So that's one case.
01010101.
That's one case. Remember, we have 150 million votes cast, right, in this election. So we have one.
But it says 3,400 people. Hold up. Mrs. Lewis said she knew the woman. Hamlin Township, a rural community on Lake Michigan, has just 3,400 people. She said she had driven to the woman's house and collected a copy of her driver's license so she could vote by mail. But Miss
Right.
Lewis had not gotten around to updating her file. Rest assured, Miss Lewis said she is a legal voter.
Right. So not a dead voter like was claimed by Mr. Fletcher and Miss Lewis. I mean, not Miss Lewis, but Miss Owens. But anyway, so, we can talk about this for a long time in this podcast, but my point remains that in the case of 150 million votes that were cast in this election, around 50 states in this country, over I don't know how many precincts and voting places, etc. I'm sure that there's something that didn't work entirely as it should, whether it was a bin that fell over with votes, or it fell in the water, or it caught fire accidentally because somebody was smoking a cigarette and threw their cigarette in the bin. I don't know.
Well, most voting places have no smoking. Like,
Well, but my
where?
point, but my point is that I do agree that incidents like that may happen and probably did happen.
But in 6 states, though, I mean, that's kind
No.
of
Yeah, no,
like,
it happened in 6 states. So I don't believe all of those claims. And until it's gone to court and it's proven by the lawyers that it happened and that it has affected the outcome, until that moment, I don't believe it. I'll listen to it, but I don't believe it. Because it's accusations, it's not facts. That's what I told you before also, right? A number of times. You can listen to it and you can believe it, but you also have to realize that it's not facts. It's accusations.
so I don't know if you know this or not, but the original Michigan.gov, which is the Michigan like website, originally a few days ago, the voting for it was switched from Joe Biden and Trump, the exact same number, which was Trump. This is a few days ago. Trump had 2,790,647 million, or 2,790,000, or 2.7 million, and Joe Biden had 2.6 million. Now it says the same thing but switched. So Trump has 2.6 million and Joe Biden has 2.7 million. So yeah, that's what I saw from what they were saying upon all kinds of things.
Where does it? Where do you learn this? Where did it say that?
The YouTuber I was telling you, and I know you say it's not good facts, but I mean,
No. I mean, I'm just saying. What did he say? So there were numbers that were published on the Michigan government website.
yes, the original Michigan.gov website.
Okay. And the numbers switched.
The number switched, yeah, because it was a few days ago that was this number, but now it's switched between Democrat and Republican.
But my first question is, why does that matter? It's on a website. Who cares what's on a website?
Because this website, how long has this website been up?
Well, all I'm saying is that I mean, it doesn't matter what the government of Michigan puts on their website. That's not an official thing.
Well, that's the government, and
Yeah, but it's still not an official thing, so people make mistakes. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it doesn't. Again, it doesn't
Copyright
affect.
2020 State of Michigan.
Huh?
The bottom of the website says copyright 2020 State of Michigan.
Right, but it doesn't affect the outcome of the election, is what I'm saying. Whatever they put on the website, if somebody made a mistake or it's a typo, or I mean, the website, it doesn't matter. What matters is what comes out as the official vote count numbers from the Secretary of State of the state of Michigan, and that's not going to come out of a website, right?
That is correct. But I mean, I'm sure this website's been around for however long.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it has. But it's also true that there's somebody behind it that has to update the numbers, and they made a mistake, or it's just not true. That's also possible, because again.
So
Is that something that you can verify with an article from the Michigan newspaper or something that it shows that this happened?
Let's see.
I'm looking. I mean, and the other funny thing is that these stories always occur in states where Trump is losing, right? It doesn't. Nobody talks about the states where Trump is winning. It's not like
But originally Trump was winning Michigan by like 3%,
Well, yeah,
and
for the same.
even Google said that, even
Oh,
CNN
yeah,
said that,
for
even
the
Fox
same
News said that.
for the same reasons that we talked about earlier, because they counted the votes from November 3rd first before they started counting the mail-in votes. But my point is that the states where Biden loses, it's not like the Democrats are saying that dead people are voting for Trump and that things are corrupt. I mean, the Democrats don't say those things. It's always the conservative Republicans that are saying these things, which is also something you should think about.
Well, that's because no one well, here's how I put this, and I'm sure this isn't just the Democratic Party. Democrats and Republicans are almost like split up, segregation almost. Like Democrats are like, oh, you're a Republican, and I'm sure there's not everyone's like this, but and this isn't just Democrats, this is Republicans too, I'm sure. And if you just say like, oh, I'm Republican or oh, I'm a Democrat, then now you can't have a say so because now it's like you can't have an opinion on what you say or what you do. But also, with the voting thing, it's within multiple states: Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. So unless
What
it's
is the
that
fraud?
lucky, yeah, the voting process, unless it's that lucky and it's like there's no way. If it was in 2 states, maybe, but in 5 states,
What is in
I
five
just don't.
states? I don't know what you're talking about.
The voting things, the voting
The voting
ballot
problems?
counts. Yes, the voting counts and ballots. Yes.
Are you talking about the problems or the fact that votes are still being counted?
The fact that they were counting votes, but also they wouldn't let poll watchers come in who are Republicans, and that's why people outside the Trumps, the
But wait a minute.
Republicans.
Hold on. You're rambling and saying too many things.
Yeah, my
You're
bad.
not allowing poll watchers that were Republicans. So poll watchers are allowed if you are registered, right?
Yes, but
You have to-
also they won't let them, even if you're registered, they won't let you within 100 feet. There's a bunch of things you can do in 100 feet.
I heard that story. I don't know the details of the 100 feet, but I did hear that story. But also, again, that wasn't everywhere, right? That was in one place, as far as I know.
No, it was in multiple. It was in Nevada, Arizona, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. I don't think it was in Georgia either, because no one said anything within Georgia. But I know it was from Nevada, Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Michigan.
So why does nobody talk about California? Because that's the most liberal state in the
That
nation.
that is the most liberal state
So why does nobody talk about fraud in California?
because California, I don't remember a time. Well, I'm not even 20, but I haven't seen when California's ever been red. So if it went red, that would be a little like, huh? Because it would take multiple years for them to shift over. But also, if you think about it, it's the same voting thing. I mean, within the big counties like Los Angeles and Sacramento and all kinds of counties and cities, there it's just liberal, and this is across the country. Even in Memphis, there's most of it's liberal. In Michigan, the big cities, they're liberal. Like pretty
Sure.
much every big city or big state is liberal,
Yes.
but besides Texas. But Texas is
No,
that's obviously
San Antonio is liberal, I believe.
San Antonio. Yes, that is liberal. But also Houston's liberal. Like the big cities are liberal.
Sure.
Like in Tennessee, I want to say there's like but 2 counties that are Republican. Like there's 2 counties that are Democrat, maybe 3 or 4 within like maybe 100 or 70 or however many counties there are in Tennessee. I don't know. I haven't counted.
Yeah, not that many, I don't think, but 25 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I
But
don't
there's
know.
a lot.
Anyway,
So
but my point is that it's interesting how these states where the results are so close that we have to count each and every vote in order to know
yes, sir.
who the actual winner is,
Yes, sir.
that we claim fraud in those states.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody knew ahead of the election that these were going to be the states that were going to be in play for, that were going to be this close, right? Everybody thought it was going to be, people knew it was going to be Pennsylvania, but everybody thought it was going to be Florida, maybe Texas, that were going to be close. And now it's these states. And then on top of that, Georgia. Is there fraud in Georgia?
In Georgia, I haven't heard anything in Georgia, but from what Trump's son said, Eric Trump, am I correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. Eric Trump, is that his name?
It's his son. Eric Trump is the son of Trump, yes.
Yes, he said that the Democrats are trying to take the election from us, and he even said not one of those votes were Republican, not one, in Nevada, Arizona, and the key states currently. And he was
And
right. The numbers never changed. The numbers never changed. And I even looked through CNN and CBS and all kinds of news sources.
for Nevada, the numbers didn't change at all for either candidate on, what was it, Wednesday or Thursday, one of those days. There was a whole day that nothing changed
Yes,
because there were no new results.
but also it was like this the whole time. It was
Yeah,
super
I don't know
close.
why there were no new results, but again, that just didn't update for either one of the two. So why does that have to do anything with fraud?
Because it's multiple states and a lot of people, like, and none of those are Republican. Like none of them are Republican.
Right.
It's mainly Democrat.
That's exactly why the Trump people are crying fraud, because they're losing in those states. I would do the same thing if I were running for president.
But yeah, but they're not Republican. There isn't one out of tens of thousands of votes. Well, in Georgia, it's maybe a few thousand. Um, but it's tens of thousands of votes, and you'd think that one would be Green Party or red or something
They
like that.
they are. I mean, where do you get this that all votes are for Biden? Who says that? That is,
Eric Trump said this. He
well,
even said,
yeah, Eric Trump
even
said
Rudy
that, but
Giuliani said this.
yeah, but I mean, so what do they know? They're not there. They're not seeing these ballots. They're just saying this because they're losing.
Well, also,
There's no facts to back this up.
but Joe Biden knows that too. He knows about all of this, and
How does he know? He is asleep in his basement. How does he know?
well, yeah, he probably is with a huge hazmat suit.
Right.
But
So I
also,
mean, this is the type of nonsense that I don't understand how you can just repeat that, because there's no facts.
but what there is facts. There's multiple people saying this.
Right. That doesn't
It's
make it true.
hey, no one likes Trump but Republicans, and even some Republicans don't agree with Trump. The Democrats despise Trump, even though he's done a lot for, and I can go into details. But I mean, we've only have so much time in this podcast.
Yes, we should
And
do
and
that
I
in the next
yes, and I also
podcast.
have yes. But I can go into details like why I don't like these candidates. Or just one
Well, so
candidate.
that's fine. I mean,
Biden.
my point has been all the time that we've been talking and texting also outside of this podcast. You know, it's fine that you have your opinion, and I'm glad that you and I don't agree, because then we have something to talk about. If we would agree, then we would be done pretty quickly. But what I don't like to see in anybody, and especially in you, because you're a smart boy, is that you will just repeat people that are saying things. And yes, they are people in authority, whether it's Giuliani or Donald Trump. Just because they are in authority doesn't make what they're saying true. You always have to ask yourself, why are they saying this? And can I verify what they're saying is true?
Well,
And in these cases where they're claiming fraud, on a large scale, that fraud on a large scale is simply not true. There is some fraud maybe on a small scale, but just because you find it in one precinct doesn't make it large scale across the country everywhere. Especially if it's in states where he's losing, then it's pretty obvious why he's saying it.
So here's another thing.
And if he is ever saying anything, before you take over, if ever he says anything about fraud in Georgia, then you know that it is BS. Sorry. Because
that's
the
fine.
governor in Georgia is a Republican, the Secretary of State in Georgia is a Republican, and the supervisor of the election process is a Republican. So if there were anything going on fraud-wise or whatever, they would speak up. And they don't. Because they are doing their job, actually, and other people are just, yapping.
Yes, but last thing before we end this, because this is going to go on forever.
Yeah, we've been talking for an hour, so that's good enough.
Yes.
With editing, probably we'll have half an hour, but go ahead.
Yes. But also, before the election, everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people liked Trump before he was like in office, or before he was even saying he was gonna become. When he said he was gonna run for president, because I mean anyone can say that. I mean Kanye said that, and he still didn't get, but maybe 10,000 votes. But it's the fact that people liked him and stuff like that. Now all of a sudden that he's a politician, people don't like him.
Well, more people voted for him this time around than they did in 2016, right? So actually more people like him now than 4 years ago.
Well, no, because there were more electoral votes.
Well, no,
Because there was
no. I'm talking about the
popular
vote.
okay,
More
okay.
people voted for Trump this time around than they did 4 years ago. So yes, I agree with you. People like him. The point is, even more people liked Joe Biden. So he got even more votes.
Here's why people like Joe Biden. It's because they think he's Obama 2.0. They think he's going to take it over and he's just going to be Obama and he's going to be peaceful and do all this. But in reality, you can be a president but he's not, like, I don't want to say he's not smart in the mind. He's smart, but he's just not, he's not mentally built to be a president. And I mean, you can be a schizophrenic and be a president. You can be autistic and be a president, I'm sure. But it's not really Biden for president. It's just his team for president, not really just Biden. It's and that's why I think people like him so much, is because they think he's going to be Obama. And Obama was I'd say he was semi-peaceful. I mean, he wasn't. Yeah, I don't think it was awful. I mean, I didn't like him, but I didn't think it was awful. But yeah, I just think that's why people think that that Joe Biden is good, is because they think he is Obama. But he's
probably more people hope that he will be Bill Clinton than Obama, to be honest with you.
Yeah. But also Bill, I don't like the Clinton family. They've done a lot. And there's all kinds of things, like, as I said, with the when they wanted to lock up the black people, and you said it was Bill Clinton. It was I forgot what it was. It was a law.
Talking about the 1994 act. What is the name of the act again? I forget. This had to do with people going to jail more easily for things like drug possession and all of that stuff.
Yes,
and then it ended up being that more black people were being frisked and raided their house and all of that, which resulted in relatively more black people ending up in jail. So that was a bad law.
And
That is being changed. Actually, under Trump, it's being changed.
yes, but Biden was alongside Bill Clinton when
No,
he wanted the,
Biden was a senator. Biden was one of the 100 senators at the time. He was in
but
the Senate.
but he also was fine with the act.
Well, so was a majority of the Republican senators also, because the law passed the Senate. For a law to become law, it has to pass both the House and the Senate, right? You know that.
Yes, but also
And the Senate majority at the time was Republican, so a majority of Republicans agreed with that law.
but I mean, this isn't Trump. This could have been yeah, it was Republicans, but it wasn't Trump. I know Trump is a Republican, but I mean, at that time he was probably doing WWE. I mean, he was a manager in the WWE. If you haven't known that, you can even look up clips of him with Mr. McMahon.
There's one clip. He was never a manager at the WWE, but that's okay. He was friends with McMahon, and he
Yes,
appeared
he
in
was.
one
He
of
even went
those.
on WWE.
He appeared in one of those shows, and had a playful fight with McMahon. I know what you're talking about.
Yes, but they had what they called the Battle of the Managers, and it was Mr. McMahon versus Donald Trump.
Right.
So yeah, he was a manager. I mean,
But he was
they
not
could
a
say he
manager at
was.
the WWE, but that's
Yeah,
okay.
yes, that is true. Yes, but they called him that. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not the fact that it's Trump. Like, you shouldn't hate Trump for that. I mean, it was Biden that was fine with that, and Trump.
Have you ever heard of the Central Park Five?
No, what's that?
Then you should look that up.
I will look that up right now. Aggravated assault.
You should look that up when we're done with this podcast, because we should wrap it up. Otherwise, we have way too long of a podcast.
Sure.
So next time we have enough stuff to talk about, because we can talk about whether Biden is Obama 2.0, or whether he is a racist even, which you seem to imply. We can talk about whether Trump is a racist. And what was the other thing we could talk about? Oh, we talked about defunding the police before this podcast.
Yes.
So we have plenty to talk about.
Plenty to talk about. Yes. Let's just say goodbye to the podcast. Thank you for watching. What is this going to be on YouTube?
Hit subscribe.
Subscribe, like, and hit the bell notifications.
And leave your comments on what you think.
Yes, leave your comments on what topic you want us to do or whatever that you want us to say. Won't we have someone on our podcast next time? Someone?
Maybe we can
maybe.
invite people. You can invite your friends or whatever. We can talk about that. Let's see what happens.
If I brought my friend, it'd be a little chaotic.
Let's see what happens.
Yes. Okay.
I enjoyed it.
Yes.
We'll do it again.
Yes. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Penetrating the United States.